I have, in the law firm that I was in years ago, we were just beginning this concept, and it was, I'd speak and then I'd have to wait, and then, but this really works directly.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Reach out and touch.
Now, I'm going to take 1 second and just let John, let the mayor see what ourselves and what's they're seeing. This is another way how you can switch quickly with a touch of your finger and go into a different mode.
Oh, that's
so
great.
that's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And that's our friends in Sterling.
I was in Washington a couple of, I guess about 2 months ago, meeting with FEMA, the federal emergency crowd that owes us some money from a few of our natural disasters that have occurred over the years. And the director, the administrator of FEMA, was going into a meeting with all of his team from around the country based on flooding that was happening up in Minnesota. So he asked me if I wanted to go. And I said, well, yeah, I very much would. I'd love to see the activity. So he walks in a room, and he's got, hopefully it's your stuff, he's got all these all over the place. He must have had 20 different screens, and each time it was a 30-minute meeting, and he'd say, okay, Weather Bureau, what's the deal? And as soon as he would say that, the little screen over here would move into the middle and get big and go through that. It was fascinating. I should have made a pitch for your business.
I wish you could. Maybe when you become Lieutenant Governor, you can do that. We're also excited today to have our mayor and soon to be the next Lieutenant Governor of the state of Kentucky, Mayor Jerry Abramson. Also joining us live in person from Sterling, Virginia is Eileen Curtis, the new CEO of the Dulles Chamber of Commerce. Eileen has served as the president and CEO for the Dulles Regional Chamber of Commerce for 15 years. As president of the Dulles Regional Chamber, she has helped the chamber position itself to reflect the new business profile of Herndon and the Dulles region. So let's just sit back while the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky takes a quick trip to Sterling, Virginia to meet with the CEO of the Dulles Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Eileen Curtis, and the Chief Operations Officer of Trinity Video Communication, Hank Schlitzer. Mayor?
Thank you. Eileen, how's business?
Business is good, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well,
We have a little group across the river that kind of helps out with the economy when times get tough. Called the USG.
and we're glad to support your efforts, because all of us around this country have had the opportunity to participate in that organization across the way, in one way or another. And as a result, we're fortunate to be here, and we're glad you're there. And we like to visit, but it's great to go home.
Yes.
Now, this is a wonderful opportunity. We have been very fortunate for 10 years to have this organization here and staying here, which from time to time there's been some fluctuation and some confusion, but the confusion is over. I've got a proclamation to proclaim this as the 10th anniversary, and once we do that, you're here forever. So this is the official proclamation for Trinity Video Communications' 10th anniversary and expansion day. That's more than they'll give you up in Washington. And we urge all our citizens to observe the special recognition, and seriously, we do appreciate this concept being here and available to the folks throughout this region of the country. You guys are right on target. Everything you said, Barry, in terms of what we all have to deal with in this complex and more difficult day-to-day living existence to do business throughout the country and throughout the world. This makes it so much easier, so much simpler, and the more people have a chance to see the ease of access that you provide, I think the better off you all will be, and I can't wait to buy stock when you go public. That's the best I can do. You're on your own now.
That sounds great. Yeah, we're waiting for our statue to be delivered from the federal government here.
Well, the hope is that the federal government will help us get back on track and help businesses like yours and others around this great country of ours get back on track with investment and jobs. And it's a very difficult time. You all see it up close and personal, but those of us in the mayor business are having some real difficult challenges as a result of these economic times, and we have lots of folks who are. A perfect example is a month ago I went down. I try at least once a month to go over to the unemployment office here in town and visit with folks standing in line to sort of get a feel for the pulse of what's going on. And I met middle management people. I met high tech people. I met a purchasing agent for a national corporation here in Louisville who had been outsourced out, and all these folks were standing in line waiting to get their unemployment checks and to file the appropriate documents. So I'm sure you realize it at the Chamber that although we're fortunate to have the businesses we have, we can never take them for granted. We always have to appreciate what they do and hope that their insight and their vision for the future is what's going to keep this company vibrant, and the one next door and the one across the street, which ultimately gives us a chance to get this economy, get this engine going again and get everybody back on track, because it's a very difficult time in the country in which we live.
Mr. Mayor, I want you to know that yesterday our chamber had its annual meeting and chairman's luncheon. I asked a few questions from the podium to kind of get a sense of business for the attendees, and one of the questions I asked was how many of you are planning to hire by fall? And I would say that 2/3 of the room raised their hands.
Wow.
This was with a group of 130 people.
Well,
so that's a good sign.
And I can give you another good sign. I mean, in the last 2 days I've spoken with 2 tool and die companies, machine parts, tool and die. Both CEOs have said that normally they're sort of the canary in the mine. If the economy's going to turn, they'll be the first ones to lead us out. And their orders are up, and they both felt very, very bullish on the opportunity for manufacturing to come back. And if that begins to return, much like Jeff Emmelt was here in town the other day from General Electric, and we're going to pick up another 850 jobs out of General Electric because he's bringing stuff back out of China, out of Mexico, to be made here in the United States at our appliance facility here in Louisville. Energy efficient, green kinds of products like hot water heaters and washers and dryers that are more energy efficient. If that is in fact happening, and Jeff says it is, and we announced that here, and if those 2 tool and die companies are beginning to see orders beginning to come forward, the real world, not that you don't live in the real world in Washington, but the real world is really beginning to feel some positive, some love coming out of the different businesses and industry groups. And
a lot of folks that we have used this facility do that so they can interview the candidates at least first try or whatever through this medium, which is very good. It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of wear.
And it sounds like price-wise, it's very, very reasonable within the context of the other alternatives.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Much cheaper.
Well, that's good. Well, if I don't win the lieutenant governor's race next year, I could come back and we could do a deal.
And in the meantime, if you're talking to Jeff, tell him that I'm looking for him to be a speaker at one of my luncheons.
We brought him here about 3 years ago, and when I first was elected mayor in 1985, he was here at Appliance Park, and so we've known each other forever. And so he got up before 2,000 people at the GLI. I guess it was more than 2 years ago.
Is that 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
Yeah,
so he came to speak to 2,000 business folks at the annual meeting of the chamber. And he got up and he said, Jerry and I, the mayor and I, have known each other forever and ever. And he said, we used to have these discussions. He said, I always talked about how I wanted to become someday the CEO of the largest corporation in the world. And Jerry would always be talking about public policy issues and things like that. And he said, here I am, the chairman and CEO of the largest corporation in the world, and Jerry's still the mayor. So you're on your own to get him to come.